Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community, just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome everybody to another Sunday live here on Boater Secret Weapon. Glad to have you. Sounds like it's cold out there. Sounds like Brock was in the money again in the cold and the wind, and 48 and windy on the water feels like below zero, especially for us softies down here in the South. But congratulations on the win, Brock. Starting off another season. That's great. Ray, good to have you. 211 Himram, good to have you. And Matt from Wisconsin, good to have you. You look like a new name I don't recognize there. So great to have you guys. Look forward to a good fun live. I don't think I don't have anything specific on the agenda. Tom, welcome. Good to have you. And I don't have anything specific on the agenda to start with. So if you got a question, just go ahead and throw it in the chat. Brock, where did you do your fishing today? Sounded like you said you were on a river, I think. On the river today. Were you at Cooper River or one of the rivers right there in Charleston, or were you a haul away? Last week we pulled the congratulations on a Sea Fox Commander. Waiting for it to come in. Was that a 2023? I'm curious if that was a 211, if that was an ordered boat, or if that was an in stock boat, and if it was a 20. I got something going on with my hair here. A 22 or a 23. Cypress Garden Landing out of the Cooper River. Nice. Well, congratulations. Getting started in January. It's a chilly one. So 10 minutes from the house. That's the way to do it. When you can get it set up like that, that's fantastic. You got the Charleston Boat Show coming up down there next weekend. I am trying to see if I can get down there. I've got my aunt-in-law coming down. My wife's aunt is coming down with her new boyfriend to spend the weekend. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get down to Charleston or not. She's coming in on Friday, and that's just a 3-day show. So I think I'll get in some serious trouble if I try to go to a boat show while she's in town. But let's see. We're not doing a drawing tonight. That's the wrong one that's up there. There we go. Ordered 300 digital throttle shift, Yamaha, good deal. Awesome. That sounds like a good setup. What'd you say? A 24? 248 Commander. Let's pull that up. We'll show everybody what you got coming. Um, uh, Commander 248 C Pro. I'm curious, 211, if you wouldn't mind sharing sharing your experience buying. What was the market like? What was the negotiation process like? What was the dealer like as you were going through the process? If you don't mind sharing, if you don't want to, don't share anything that you're not comfortable with for sure. But I'm just kind of curious about the overall process that you experienced compared to what was happening before. And I've finally got my calendar updated, so I need to put all the boat shows in here. Just share whatever you can. I'd appreciate it. Saw some pictures, video of huge raft ups, various lake. What's the etiquette there? How do you get out? What if you want to leave early? How many boats are setting anchors? Well, Herb, not enough. I can assure you that set an anchor out because there's not enough people that do, especially at raft ups. It is, it's a lot of times people that maybe have rented a boat. They don't think about things like that. There's very few people like yourself that are like, hey, what is the etiquette? How does it go? They just go start partying. They forget about a lot of things. So this is actually a good video idea. I like this topic. Rafting etiquette for me, and we'll come back 211. We'll come back to your Sea Fox here in just a moment. I'm going to set that aside as I talk about this because I like this topic. Matter of fact, Herb, I'm going to write this down because this is going to start me off on a good video. Raft etiquette. So here is some of the things that you want to consider. Is as you're pulling up a raft up, usually a bunch of friendly people. If it's 3 boats, that's a little different than if it's 10, 15 boats. But what I would do in that situation, what I've done in that situation is you idle up, you really pay attention to where their anchor lines are out. So here's how the raft up is. You've got anchor lines out this way, and you've got swimmers and people out this way typically. Now, if you're near a sandbar, you may have it, or if you're in like a party cove on a lake. You said you're in Florida, I see. But if you've got sometimes like at the Lake of the Ozarks, we would go to Party Cove down there in my younger days, is they had 2 sides that the sterns would all raft up, and then there would be a big gauntlet that you could come down, you could cruise through, and that's where all the beads were going, and things got real wild, and there was liquor, and it was crazy chaos. Like I said, in my younger days, I would go down there. But in most raft offs, you're going to be anchor out, swimmers off the back. If you're at a sandbar, you might have a sandbar here, and they're all rafted off in the deep enough water, and then everybody's kind of playing in here. So when you come up, you want to make sure that you are in a safe proximity to people. Hey, how can I maneuver without getting my prop near anybody or anything that can cause damage? Anchor lines, people, kids that sort of drift off from the main group and are screwing around, whatever. Eyes out constantly, nothing but in gear, out of gear maneuvering. Hey, how you guys doing? Would you mind if we wrapped it up with you? Would you mind if we tied up? Just ask. There's music going, but you can usually find somebody to ask that question. They'll be like, not my boat. Ask Bill over there. He'll be able to tell you, or sure, come on over. All right. So what you want to think about is where you're going to be and what your plans are. Are you staying all day, or are you going to be in and out? If you're in and out, let them know, hey, we got to leave in about 2 hours. Can we tie off on the end? And then you pay attention. If you're a stay all day, doesn't matter as much. But a couple of things that are helpful when you're at a raft up, you always be the one to put the anchor out and suggest others do as well, because otherwise what starts out as a nice straight line of boats, The next thing you know, it starts shifting and shifting, and you got another group of 10 boats that's over here, and they're shifting, and things can get real messy and dangerous. So get as many anchors out as you can. Even if you've got to swim it out, set it, and then kind of hand pull it back in, or if you've got a windlass. The second thing that I really like when you're rafting up is I'm going to put my fenders out, and I'm going to situate it. I'm sort of going to take control that people on both sides of me don't know what they're doing. And I'm going to work with them and work together in a friendly way. But I'm going to make dang sure that my boat's protected. Now, I'm also going to tie off all fenders off my boat, because if you tie it off on the other boat, you'll leave it, you'll forget about it, or they will head out and they will forget about it and they'll end up with your gear. So that's just sort of I know that from experience kind of story. So tie all your laundry off on your boat, fenders, things like that. And then the next thing that I like, and this is sort of out of your control for others, but if you've got to leave early, okay, so you're here and you've got boats here and here, okay? If you've got to leave early, you got to find both boaters here. And the best thing you can do is get your anchor, pull it up. Hey, just want to let you know, I had an anchor out. You two don't. You might want to put one out. So again, you don't get all weird. And that's what happens. A lot of people with anchors, they'll be the ones that pull out. And then people without anchors are left. And then the whole raft gets going all crazy. But is having really, really long lines. So in one of my videos about gear, I talk about having lines that are 2/3 of the boat length. So your bow and your stir lines, 2/3 of the boat length. It's overkill for most situations. And your spring lines are the one set of lines that are the length of the boat. So if you got a 30-foot boat, you got 30-foot lines. This is why in one situation, why you do that. Somebody's pulling out, you can undo your lines and you can hand it across. So now if you imagine it, the line's going from here to here, from here to here, and then this guy pulls out, and now you've got those lines that you can pull them back together. If your lines are too short and you can't get them across, well, then you're out of luck, because now your raft there's no way you're going to get it pulled back together. So that's why I like to have a set of long lines that I can get tied off, and boom. And I'm also, when I tie it off, just like I said, tie your fenders off on your boat, if at all possible, is I'm going to do a loop on my boat and I'm going to do the cleat hitch on their boat, but I'm going to pay attention and make sure that that cleat hitch is done properly. Okay. Other etiquette, this is just sort of my preference, is sort of figure out who's in the group and who's running the music, the stereo, who's the DJ. So if you've got a good system, if you've got music and it fits, kind of discuss that, and don't just let the guy that has the loudest, crappiest music play. If you get there and you're in the early part of it, you can kind of set that up. Typically, when I raft up in a bigger group, it's a group of people that I know. We figure out who's going to play the music, and then we'll, hey, put your phone on my stereo. We're running it all out of my boat. But if you want to Bluetooth into my boat, we can play your playlist for a while. Hey, let's play Bob's playlist. Hey, let's play Susie's playlist. And everybody gets some of their music, and we make it appropriate for the situation. That's some just sort of overarching recommendations, but be on the lookout, because I'm gonna put this on my list of videos to get done, because I really like that topic. That's a topic that a lot of people could get value from, I think. Matt, got a question? Difference between the H2O and the SSI look very similar. So the H2O was boots. The H2O was there in the 2007, um, 2008. Maybe they came out with it in 2009, probably. But during that big downturn, the mortgage meltdown, the recession, the stock market went crazy. We all know what happened, right? Caused me to close down a mortgage company that we tried to fight for too long, and it was a bad situation for me personally, but for a lot of people. So what happened is there was a ton of inventory on the market. The stock market was way down, if you remember that period. And so boat builders were saying, crap, people aren't buying these high-end boats. We're gonna come out with some more entry level, some more value models. So you saw manufacturers like Cobalt come out with some. I was shocked in '09 and 2010. I saw some of the product that Cobalt was putting out, and they were doing things that you would never expect Cobalt to do, quality wise. And they had their regular model still, but then they had their, I don't say value models, but they're cheaper models. Well, Chaparral did the same thing. They came out with their H2O line. Their H2O line was their value, which would, in my mind, would have been lower mid tier at the time. The SSI was the level up, and the SSX and the Sonesta, I think it was at that time, were their top end. So H2O, SSI, Sonesta. And if you're to look at the models, so like the SSI now, let's see here. Chaparral H2O boats last year made 2019. Okay, it looks like 2019 they stopped making the H2Os. Let's see if that's accurate. That seems about right. So if you're, these pictures aren't very good. Let's go to H2O. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go big on this so you guys can see. All right. So if we go to Chaparral H2O on Boat Trader, we'll get a good look at them. All right. So as you're looking, the exterior, if we do the old side by side here, where are we? Okay. So if we, oh, that's not the one I wanted. All right. So if we do the side by side, you can see they look very similar. When we go, let's try to, I'm not sure how good my pictures are going to be here on the interior side. Give me a good interior picture here. Yeah, that's a better one. All right. So the Boat Trader is the SSI in 2016. Or no, I'm sorry, the H2O in 16. And then when you look at the current, you know what? As I look at this, the new SSI appears to be a lot more H2O like than I remember. I wonder if they are running the the H2O hulls and calling them SSIs now, because the Fish Ski was only on the H2O, and that helm is looking basic. Let's see what the helm looks like. Interesting. I wonder if they, for 2023, if they are, and I haven't been to a boat show yet, but if the H2O series, if they've rebadged that as the SSI, and if they're doing some other things. But typically what happens is the H2O has a shorter lamination schedule, or the gel coat fiberglass layup is not as thick. So might be this thick on the SSI, or on the H2O, and then another quarter inch thick on the SSI, and the SSX is a little bit thicker. Upholstery, it's the same thing, that value, mid-tier, premium, that you're going to get the differences. But as I look at this, it makes me say that they are running, god dang, that they're running the old H2O modes and calling them SSIs now. Let me look at something here real quick. 2019 Chaparral SSI. They also, the SSIs were, or the H2Os were the smaller length. So here we go. 24. What is my length here? Is that, I don't want a 24 SSI. I just want the Chaparral SSI. Chaparral. And I want 2019. 19. All right, so 23 H2O, 19. I don't care about the Vortex. Outboard, Sinesta. Sinesta, H2O, SSX. So that's I'm going to say that's what they've done. They've taken that H2O line, which was their value line that started in, I'm going to say it's 09 or 10, and they are calling it now the SSI. But they previously had, let's see here, in, what would I say, 2015. There we go. 216 SSI. And then if we look at that boat was, come on now. Unless we see the interior, you're not gonna be able to tell, because they didn't have quite as much freeboard. It wasn't significantly different. Yeah, you can see, you can just tell the upholstery. It's got more finished, more cutouts, where the value on the H2O is it's just raw fiberglass, not raw fiberglass, but finished fiberglass, and they don't have as many detail in the molds. So that's exactly the cutout of the cup holder, the storage there, the seats have the contours in the back, all of that. So yeah, that's where the difference is. And yes, so you're right. Depending on the year that you're looking at, those SSIs and the H2Os are the same. And I'll have to do some research to figure out when they made that switch. Because I thought they stopped building the H2, or they did stop building the H2Os, but they kind of pulled a fast one and just badged them with SSI. I'm assuming they made some other upgrades as well, because those early 2010, 11, 12 years, they were really, really scaled back. There was very little upholstery, and mostly just finished basic fiberglass stuff. So I'll figure out what those years are. Sea Fox Factory is across 52 from my neighborhood. I'm curious, Brock, if you're still seeing a whole bunch of boats waiting for motors, or if those are starting to clear out. Down in Florida, plenty of time at the sandbar, but only wrapped up maybe group of 3. Yeah, when you're in a group of 3, Herb, 2 anchors will do. My preference is every other boat has an anchor, is I think the right level. And you're always going to have somebody that, has a teeny tiny anchor. They don't have a chain on it. They put out 5 feet of road and in 6 feet of water and think it's going to hold. but just lots of, just like you're anchoring anywhere, but especially when you're going every other boat is, hey, you've got a lot of extra weight there. And because when you raft up together and, you're going to catch more wind, you're going to catch more current. And so you let out as much as possible. I did my research and felt that they helped me negotiate a good deal, something the dealer could feel great about, and seems to be a little more of a buyer's market. With dealers getting stock on the ground, feel more buyers are a little iffy on the economic. Yep, yeah. You'll see my boat be do a quick double check for 'em. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, and thanks for sharing that. That's kind of, I talked about it last Sunday, but doing the research on the market update, and my week got crazy last week. But um but that's sort of the direction that the market's going, is more stock on the showroom floors. Some buyers backing out because of interest rates going up, some buyers backing out because they're concerned about their personal economic future. A lot of business owners are like, I don't know what's going to happen with my business. They're a big segment of the buying population in some of the 100,000 plus boats. So for sure. Ron Clark, welcome. I don't recognize that name. About to pull the trigger on a 1314 Sea Ray Sundancer 310 using your guide. Update, thought process, current market, need to know. That's a good solid boat. That 310 Dancer is a great boat. It is. I sold a bunch of them, like the similar layout, when it was called the 280 back in 2009, 10, 11, 12, I think. And maybe 11 is when they switched it to the 310. But a nice, solid boat. As far as the market goes, just understand, Ron, that you have a lot more control. Like 211 said, the market is changing. It's more of a buyer's market out there, and cruisers have been slowing down for a number of years. And so, especially in the cruiser market, is you have the opportunity um to be selective. You have the opportunity to put that boat through its paces, to negotiate heavily, and to get your survey done, do your inspection, do everything that we talk about in the buyer's guide, that toolkit that you have. That's going to be very, very helpful. Get that boat on the water and run through every system. There's one, it's a great training for you, Ron. If you've never owned a boat like that before, it's different than having a bow rider or a pontoon or a deck boat or a center console. All of those systems, you have a generator on the boat, you've got the electrical panel, you got AC, DC, you got to know how to switch it. You've got a head compartment with the vacuum flush head. You've got the pump out system. You've got a bigger bank of batteries. You've got entertainment systems and, the stereo. All of those things are going to take a learning curve. So just use the buying process as a training ground for you to have the owner go through the system with you. Pay attention to two things: how he does everything so that you're learning, but two, is there anything that he doesn't want to do? Is there anything that he's like, we don't need to test this? Now, remember, some of the stuff you have to be on the water, but ask him, hey, where's the strainer for the generator? Where's the strainer for this? Where is the filter on the air conditioning unit? Where is the air conditioning unit? Um, if they don't know the answer to those things, well, those things didn't get maintained, right? Hey, show me what does this seacock do? What does that seacock do? And find all that. Also, make sure you have that boat pulled out. Inspect the bottom. If it's been kept in the water, inspect the drives. It's going to have Mercruiser drives on it. If you're in salt, maybe it's got Secors. But you're checking that stuff. Check the anodes. How do they look? Check the bottom paint. How does that look? Bottom paint's going to be, on that boat, depending on where you're at, 1,000, 1,500 bucks or more. And so there's all of these different things that if you've never had a cruiser that stayed in the water, and it's likely that 310 stayed in the water. There's a lot of extra stuff. Just be diligent. Just be diligent. Take your time. And once you say this is the boat that I like, make the offer contingent on a survey and a sea trial, and that way if this boat doesn't pass the mustard, the particular one you're looking at, if that doesn't pass the mustard, you can say no, based on what Captain Matt shared with me, this boat doesn't work. When it does fit your standards of your level of expertise, now you can go to the negotiation phase, and then you can bring the surveyor in, which is going to cost some money. I'll encourage you to reach out now for a surveyor. Say, hey, I am buying a 310 Dancer in this year, probably in this area. I would love for you to do the survey when we get the pricing negotiated in. What does your availability look like? Sometimes those surveyors can be very difficult. Make sure that they are, certification is somewhat of a racket where, it doesn't prove that they're a great surveyor, but at least they've got some credentials, and then go based on the reputation in boatyards and marinas in your area. So survey or certification. So you've got two different groups that you can go and look to find surveyors. You have got oh crap. Let me look up Fred. So he is. This is Fred Wright. He's a guy that's in the Charlotte area, a very, very good surveyor. And oh crap, you're accredited. That's not what it is. I was looking to pull up his site so I could. I don't know why it's escaping me on the surveyor group. American Marine Surveyor Association, maybe. Here we go. National Association of Marine Surveyors, and SAMS is the other one. I don't know what that is. There's so many abbreviations. All right, National Association of Marine Surveyors, Certified Marine Surveyor, CMS, and then Society of Accredited Marine Surveyors. They're accredited marine surveyors. So these are the National Association of Marine Surveyors and Society of Accredited Surveyors. That's what you're looking for. You can go to both their websites. You can search surveyors in your area and then just make sure they're accredited. They do have to take classes. They have to take tests. It doesn't mean they're an outstanding surveyor, but that will allow you to narrow it down and then start asking in your area who's a really good one. Because just like any industry, there's some crappy ones out there that will charge you $400 and they won't look for anything. Fred, who I pulled up, he was the most expensive in the area, but he found everything. He was diligent. He's who I recommended to all of my buyers that were buying cruisers, because there's too many things that you can overlook that can just ruin your ownership experience. And find a good one. If you happen to be in the Charlotte area, the Mid-Atlantic, he travels. He does a lot of work for insurance companies as well with hurricane boats. He's great, but he's super busy, and it's tough to get him even on the phone, let alone get him booked. Has surveyed about 5,000 vessels in the past 30 years. So, looking for something like that, if they've got it, is helpful. But you're not going to find a bunch of Google reviews. You're not going to find a lot of really, really good websites. They're not going to have that. That's not their world. They know boats. They know them in and out. And when you find a good one, it'll be well worth it for either the peace of mind or keeping you from buying a disaster. So, Corey, welcome. Good to have you. Anyone have any tips for adding a transom-mounted transducer, fiberglass bow rider, adding it early spring, but looking for advice? Brock, I think I saw you. There we go. Thick starboard equivalent gluing transducer. You can move the transducer. Good thinking. Making sure that you seal up that hole, because that's a big area where water can get in. Anytime you're putting a hole through the transom, especially something that's going to be below the water line, is if that's the way you mount it, is critical. And then not only that first time, but also to continue every couple of years to redo it, remove the old and put in some new. Around the board, punching extra holes in your transom, you have to adjust. Yeah, yeah. The fewer holes, the better for sure. All right, let's see here. And we're coming back to 211. I'll come back to your Sea Hunt or your Sea Pro. I'm sorry. Don't think I forgot that, but I got on a couple other topics. So thanks. Looks really fun. Been out middle, hundreds of boats, Crab Island. Never tied together those huge raft. I was always curious that, and since you're at the coast, the other thing that you'll want to pay attention to in Florida, you're not going to have huge ups and downs, but pay attention to that tide. If you've got your anchors out and that tide goes up, some of those anchors that were set, now the scope has gone a lot more straight up and down. If you get some waves coming through, depending on where you're at, it can pull those anchors. Make sure that you keep that scope out so that you've got a good solid hold, chains and all of that. And make sure that whoever started the raft up is smart enough to know what the tide levels are. And if not, you bring that thought with you that, wait a second, we're in 3 feet of water and we're at high tide. We might be in some trouble here. Maybe I'll encourage them to back up, or I'll start a new raft up back in deeper water. So just pay attention to that, because just because there's a bunch of boats anchored, tied up, doesn't necessarily mean that they've thought that through, that the tide is going to be okay. And you've seen the videos, so not everybody thinks about that. Was wondering if that was a viable option. Saw a bunch of folks do that. Screwed them in place. Transducer board seems the best option. Yep. Great suggestion, Brock. Can run a second sonar, side scan down like that, shoot the transducer, find a spot on the floor near the transom that doesn't have foam. Sonar can shoot through. Interesting. All right. You can put a screw or two in if you want. Just had one glue on my old bass boat, 10 years, 5,200. It was fine. Yeah, that's great. You're going to want to mount that on the outside of the transfer, like the ones mounted inside. Running speed seem to hold the bottom better. 23 footer, that may help compare. Yes, let me scroll through here, Matt, and I'll come right back to the Chaparral SSI. Catching up to Seafox reduction. There are about 40 or so boats over there now that are waiting for engines, compared to well over 100 at this point last summer. Yeah, okay, that's good to know. I wonder what motor, if it is a specific horsepower that they're having issues with, if it's maybe that 425 that they're not able to pump out, or if they're having issues with a 250 or something where they just can't produce enough of them. That I think that 425 is super popular. But I'm curious as to which one specifically, or if it's just a sheer number and there's a couple different horsepowers that they're not getting. All right. So let's go back to Matt. Oh, no, let's go back to just a quick what 211 just got. By the way, StreamYard, that's the software I use to do this. to do this live, so it can run out to Facebook and to YouTube. Uh-oh. I got a lot of stuff open, I guess. Let me shut down my... Well, my computer is not happy with everything that I'm doing right now. Close that out. Come on. All right, be patient with me here. I'm having some technical difficulties, so I don't know what. Something's going on with my email that's taking up a heck of a lot of bandwidth here, and it is not wanting to stop. Microsoft is not responding. That's because I wanted to cancel. Close. Let's see if this helps out. I hope I'm not going to have to restart here because everything is... All right. I'm not going to be able to... Sorry, 211. I'm not going to be able to play that video. I don't know. Maybe we'll try here in a little bit. But we'll see. And we'll see if I can pull up that 2023 23-foot Chaparral SSI. All right. So when you're looking at the SSI, yeah, those are 23. That is the H2O. They had a 19. They used to have a 19. You can almost see it in those images. Let me go big for you. That the SSI, you can see how the freeboard, and then when you look at the SSX, you can see it's a little bit thicker. It almost looks like the dead rise might be a little bit more too in the SSX, which would make sense. So I'm going to go to the 23 here, and 8.6, 3,600 pounds on a 23 footer. Okay, is that the outboard? No, that's the stern drive. All right, let's take a look at the upholstery. And you see what I'm talking about. When you're looking, you can kind of see just the basic cutouts and that it's just finished fiberglass and grab handles and cup holders, versus when they're recessing things in and there's a little bit more intricacies in the mold. Here you can see they've got a screw there. That's actually a starboard type panel where they're putting the little cubby. It's not in the mold. It makes it look more integrated. It makes it look a little bit better. There's nothing beneficial other than aesthetics, though. So things like when things are molded in, everything's all contoured in one piece, and they can do some fancier things. But to make it more basic, the fewer bends and the fewer recesses and the fewer cutouts, the cheaper it is to build the mold, the easier it is to lay the gel coat and to pop it out of the mold, the less effort there is. And you can see this right here also. That is an insert that they just cut out and then they screw in. It's a little plastic insert. Again, it's fine. It's just a little bit less expensive to buy that plastic insert, have a flat interior on the deck mold, cut that out and screw that in. Okay. So those are the things that I look at when I try to determine, all right, is it a premium? Is it a mid-tier or a value? And even with the SSI, it's still in that mid-tier level. You can see that they've got the kind of the contoured padding in the seats. It's not just a flat backrest all the way across. It's got some contouring, so when you're sitting in that seat, it makes it more comfortable. It also looks a little bit nicer, but it's more expensive to build it that way. And it looks like this is a flip flop that you can set that up to get a lounge, which is nice. 6.2 Mercruiser. I don't know if you're looking at a Mercruiser or a Volvo, whatever the shop that you're buying it from sells is probably the right direction to go. You can see you've got just the starboard closure on the walkthrough. And this is when you look at the engine compartment, that's just painted fiberglass in there, which means if you do have an oil leak or something spills in there, it's going to be a little harder to clean up. It's going to be a little more dirty and grimy over time. Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't look as neat as you would on the SSX. I bet that's a finished fiberglass liner that they stick in there versus just two-piece construction like this, where you've got the oh, you can't see me trying to do hand gestures so you can't even see it, where you've got the deck and then you've got the hull and you got the deck that goes on top. And the SSX, it's deck, liner, or hull, liner, and then deck on top. A lot of stainless steel. Yeah, so I mean, you're knowing Chaparral and the way they do things is you're going to be in good shape with this boat if this fits into your budget, if you like the size and all that. Okay, that does flip flop like I thought. Um, Again, you can see that painted fiberglass up in the bow in that anchor locker there. You do have looks like that might be a tub that is right here with the drain. I don't know. I don't think that's probably molded in. I think that might be a liner that's making that tub. Can't really tell from that angle. Um, you do have this armrest is such a little thing, but it makes running the boat, especially in choppy water, a lot more comfortable. You can use this top part up here, but having it right there where it's comfortable when you're sitting down running that throttle, you don't have to hold your arm up as much. It's a little tiny thing, but it makes a big difference when I'm running the boat anyway. Um, Okay, another cutout with the kind of a starboard door, good long piano hinges, which is what I like to see. The the upright for the windshield, I like it when it's mounting to a good solid surface. Just makes it more durable because that force is going straight down on those screws versus when they run it and they put it at a sideways angle. Now all your pressure is on those screws at a 90-degree versus the pressure going on that stanchion or whatever you would call it, that upright, and the screws are there just to hold it in place, and you don't have as much pressure on the actual screws. That I like that stainless steel. It looks like on their latch, which is a good thing. Um, basic helm, but it looks nice, especially if you go with the Simrad option. I'm guessing that's an upgrade. I don't think they probably have that as standard. Your basic switches. Yeah, I mean, this is gonna be so as I look at this, it looks very comparable to like the Sea Ray SPX. Again, Sea Ray kind of did the same thing. Is they said, all right, we're gonna build our Sun decks and our SLXs, their bow riders. We're gonna build those differently than we're gonna build the SPXs that they're building now. They used to not have that as big of a gap between their sport boats and their Sun deck and SLX series, but now since I don't know 4 years ago maybe since they built that SPX that gap has gotten a little bit bigger. And I would say the same thing is this level is a bigger jump up to the SSX from Chaparral. And even Cobalt, well, maybe Cobalt's not doing it anymore. Um, but they had their 200 series that was, again, it was just built to a different level. Yeah, they're 10 series. So these boats, they're going away from it, but this 10 series is built different than the R and certainly different than the A series. So it's more of those premium manufacturers are doing it, and it started in that 2009, 2010 timeframe is when you started see them doing that. But overall, it's a good looking boat, and I think assuming that this is what you are, everything is, it's the right style. The dealer's a good dealer. You're going to get the right motor for that. The dealer that what they support the most. I think you'll have a good experience with this boat. There's nothing I see that jumps out at me that I don't like about it. But I did point out a few of the things that this is how they're getting it built cheaper than the SSX. 2022 image shown, 23 coming soon. So there might be some minor changes between the two. All right. So hopefully, Matt, that's helpful for you. Um, Corey, send Brock a thank you card. Uh, you guys have been having some good conversation, which is awesome. I love it. Uh, I love that great information, advice on questions. Um, yeah, having, I mean, I got to tell you, there's having Brock, having all you guys in the forum is the guys that have that extra experience, that have maybe been around boats, have been a different experience of boating. There was a couple times where some coastal things have come up, some fishing things have come up, some different lifestyles that I may not have that experience. Having a group of guys that is willing to share and jump in the comments and just have a chat while I'm rambling on about something else and helping another member of the community, it makes me smile. Makes me smile a lot. So, um, and I know Brock's got a real job. I keep telling him that he would be awesome if he did something similar. If you wanted to do a YouTube channel at Brock, I would always be willing to help you out if you ever did want to get started. But I think you've got a lot of knowledge that people would find valuable. Anyone have a contact with Affinity Plus Credit Union for boat loans? I don't. Um, I do not. I think credit unions are a great source for a lot of people. The one problem is most of them are regional, so it's hard to have a connection with that many, with as small as we are. Appears to be bigger 300 horsepower motors. The boats that are sitting are 25, 24. See smaller boats, 200 less, leaving there all the time, wrapped up. Okay, that's kind of what I was expecting, but that makes sense that it's those bigger ones that, as the market increases and bigger horsepower, bigger center consoles, bigger everything becomes more common. They've got to adjust their production accordingly, because pre-pandemic they had just come out with that 425, and they weren't seeing as many orders for that bigger stuff. And now, as the manufacturers had limited capacity, they stopped making some of that smaller stuff. Even, like Robalo took some boats off the market and said, we're not selling those anymore, and kind of shelved those molds to make bigger boats, bigger price tags, bigger margins, bigger profits, and bigger horsepower does that for sure. Don't tell me that the 248, 250, 26 all come twin motors 150. Yeah, at this point, here's my gut, is that dealers have a pretty good handle on when new orders are going to be coming in. I think everything is sort of, I don't want to say totally figured out yet, but I think they understand where the roadblocks are, and they understand what products not coming in and isn't getting access. And I think Yamaha, Mercury, Suzuki, they all know what their production runs will look like, and I don't think they're having as much issue getting raw material so that they can build their thing. Chips are the chips, which was a big one, are more available. There may be one or two components that are still, hit and miss, but I think for the most part, they've got a easy or a consistent flow in of the supplies they need to build their motors and their rigging harnesses and their wiring harnesses and all that. But what I would do, 211, is I would be diligent with the dealer. But I think you said, did you say that you bought it off the showroom floor? Maybe it was an order. I don't remember. Deliver last week because of the 425. Um, I know Sportsman had having issues with their 247, 267 bay boats, 350, 425. Had a buddy that ordered before, and he just took delivery um, because of the 425. Yeah, that one. I figured that one was because they that just had come out, and so just stay in touch with your dealer, communicate with them. Um, that's the big thing. Waited 6 months after a 5% price increase, and then bought the 247. They expect mine 8 weeks or so for delivery. Yeah, I mean, that's 211. That's a standard time. So 10 years ago, if you would have ordered a boat, 6 to 8 weeks would be about the delivery time frame that you would have probably gotten from a dealer. And so that's pretty normal. That tells me if they're setting those expectations, that you're likely going to get your boat in 8 weeks. I would really be surprised if I would really be surprised unless something major comes up that they're not able to hit that expectation if they've been a good reliable dealer so far. um so all right. Well, folks, we are coming up on an hour. Let me see. I wanna check out. This was done in 5 years ago. So this was what, 2019 when they redesigned it. They will run Most manufacturers will run the same molds and the same basic boat for 5 to 7 to maybe even 9 years, if it's a real solid seller for them, if it's a staple of their business. And I like buying the later versions because they've worked out almost all the kinks. They've made some great smart upgrades to the design, that are able to be done without monkeying with the molds. So the way they mount things, the way they run wiring, all of the stuff that you can't see, they've gotten a lot smarter in the second, third, fourth year, than that first year where, hey, they were just getting them out there. They didn't know what was going to break. They didn't know what was going to be warranty claims. They look at all the warranty claims and they say, crap, we got to do that better. And they start fixing it that second year. Third year, they got most of them worked out, but by the fourth, fifth, and sixth year, they're pretty much smooth sailing, and any issues are known issues that they've been able to fix. All right, I want to see. All right, I don't know. Maybe my kids are sneaking some internet while they should be asleep, but or my wife is doing something crazy. But my internet is all wonky today. So, good looking boat. Um, Let us know how the ordering process goes for you. If if in what is it, January, February, March 22nd, you're getting ready to set up delivery. I would love to hear, and congratulations on that. So comparing to all mid-tier boats, where would you place I would say it's just like I would say with any of the premium brands with their mid-tier is, Matt, you get the advantage that they're already buying the right hardware, and where they're reducing the price is in the little things like a more basic mold. We're putting plastic inserts in instead of doing the contouring like we do in the premium, their kind of flagship way of building the boat. But like the stanchion on the windshield, that you gotta have something to mount it into, and just they understand that because they build a premium level product. So I'd say yes, it's mid tier, but typically the way they build it is going to put it on the higher end of that mid tier, if that makes sense. So um, if you were to look at my best and worst bow rider video, so when you look at that with your chaparral, that SSI I would put up with the Four Winds Crown line. I would put them above. Same thing with the Sea Ray SPX. I would put that. Well, actually, the Sea Ray I would put that maybe below the Crown line, just because I've seen what they're doing, and they really they're making some mistakes there. The Cobalt 10 series would be up at the top of that mid level. And the other thing that you get from it is you get the resale value bump because it's a chaparral. Because it's a known brand to be premium. The people that are buying it 5 years from now, they you still get that lift because it has the premium brand. Versus if you're buying a Brian or a Larson or a Monterey, well, they're all of their models are built in that mid tier. So it will. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I'm bumbling today. But the same thing with all of the top level models. Regal, I think they're redoing their 2600. No, what is it? They are, yeah, that 2600 ES. My gut tells me that's probably going to be going away. Um, but their L series, their 2800, yeah, their 2600's already gone away. So anyway, but a lot of manufacturers do that where they have that lower level and they build it, but you get the lift because you've got the brand name that comes with it, even if it's not the top end. So, um, yeah, I would appreciate that. Let us know how it goes. Keep us up to date what you're hearing. And Brock, he's down in Florida. He said Crab Island. I don't know where that is, but somewhere, maybe it's like Goat Island, where everybody's got a Goat Island somewhere near them. Crab Island sounds like it might be the same, but sounds awesome. Gray hull, powder coat hardtop, 300. Um, that sounds awesome. Congratulations. Thanks guys for another great live. We will come back at you next Sunday, and hope you guys all have a good one. And let's hope for some warmer weather coming up. I'm ready to get out. I've got to film my twin engine version, and a couple other videos I need to get out and do. And I'm not like Brock. I'm not going out in the cold weather and doing my videos. It just doesn't work. So anyway, take care, everybody. We'll catch you all next week.